Okay, good morning. Let's quickly get started. We're already half an hour behind compared to the original plan. But the document I'm running through is effectively the summary document, which should have been uploaded onto your portal as well. Yeah, as you quite correctly pointed out, there are a couple of small adjustments we need to make. The initial bit is just so that you know your pre-scene, bit of information. Just last moment, if you want to run through, there's a bit of information here. Okay. What I'm going to quickly run to is the corporate governance bit, which would also be focusing on the couple of pages that we actually left out yesterday, which was pages 18 and 19, 18, 19 and 20 effectively from the pre-scene. Right? And if we look at this topic-wise, effectively, board balance. Now, the minimum that we require is a 50-50 split. NEDs, executive directors, needs to be 50-50. Have we got that split?
But there is 50-50 including the
including the chairman.
Requirement is
excluding the chairman. So, in fact, with the very first one, there we already have a bit of an issue. If you look at it, 5 executive directors, 5 non-executive, half the board should consist of independent NEDs, excluding the chair. Given also that the chair, Dr. Carter, is not independent for quite a few reasons, which we look at. Glory board requires more NEDs, and there's even more problems when we look at some of the NEDs. For example, if you look at the NEDs, we've got Saloni. From Glorious Energy Group. So can we really call them independent? Bit of a question mark, because the independent or the NEDs are supposed to, of course, try to give an unbiased sort of a opinion, a contribution when it comes to the decision-making process, and it's hardly going to be that. So remember that this is not a company which is in Europe or anything like that. So maybe the corporate governance guidelines are not as strict. Okay, but we are comparing it with the generally accepted guidelines. Okay. CEO, chairman role split. Under UK corporate governance code, the 2 roles should be split. Chairman runs the board, CEO runs the company. This is not a stipulation under Sarbanes-Oxley regulation in the US. Do we see that split? CEO and chairman?
There is no indication.
No, there is indication in the organization structure.
If you look at page 20, it's there. Martin Morris is the one who seems to be in charge of the overall thing, but the problem there is Carter has a dotted line to director of soccer. There is a bit of an issue. Plus, the background that is given to us in the case almost seems to mention that maybe to an extent Carter might be bypassing the CEO when it comes to certain decisions. Maybe he's a little too actively involved. Yeah, his passion for soccer might be getting the better of him, right? And might be messing up the whole structure. There, it's not specifically mentioned you need to split the role of the chairman and the CEO. So there, the flexibility is there. But end of the day, with our syllabus, anyways, we will look at this. Where the chairman is not independent, one NED should be the senior independent director who directly available to shareholders, who is directly available to shareholders. If they have concerns which cannot be dealt with through the CEO, chairman, or CFO, right? The chairman is not independent, and this scenario, to an extent, the chairman is not independent. Why? Dr. Carter is the chairman, but is not independent. He takes a very personal interest in Glory, which is evidenced in the organizational chart. There is a dotted line connecting Victor Lenz, Director of Sports, to the chairman. So can he really sit back and say, I'm going to give an unbiased sort of a feedback, sort of an opinion? Not really. Okay. So there has been instances where companies have argued the benefit of not splitting the role of CEO and chairman. Marks and Spencer, in the case of Stuart Rose, majority of shareholders, as majority shareholder and founder, Dr. Carter may be considered to have too much power that is unchecked at Glory Soccer Club. Have we got evidence of this too much power? Have we got evidence of Dr. Carter's surplus power? One is the dotted line. The other
is also chairing the audit committee. Is total violation of
yeah, in terms of the committees, there are issues. But in terms of operations, don't you think having 6 seats in the box, eternally getting involved where he takes his personal contacts, goes and introduces them, to an extent mentions that he is using that power. He is using that power. You might see more of it in the unseen. Maybe something like a shirt sponsorship or something like that for Glorious Group. Right? Then you can start relating it to this as well. It affects whether he is really independent. Yes.
board chairman is not to be independent. Audit committee chairman should be independent. Board chairman should also be. Board chairman maybe we have may mistake or will interest over the organization.
See, that's the thing. If by chance he is to be independent, then having a majority stake and all of that affects that independence. Okay? So if that is the case, then you need to have a separate non-executive director who the shareholders can, query from. That's what is being mentioned, because otherwise he as a major shareholder will basically do what he wants. What about the minority shareholders? So what we are trying to do is protect that, right? So in this state, one of the other NEDs should be appointed as a contact point in case shareholders have something to discuss. Because at the moment, if there is a problem, whom will the shareholders actually bring the concern to? It will come back to the chairman and he can just do what he wants. So having that is not the problem. Then you need to have a backup mechanism to sort the next issue that comes up. Okay, that is what is specifically mentioned here for your reference as well, which says senior independent director to take the place of the independent chair. Okay. Board composition. There's something quite unique when we look at all the NEDs. Who's the longest serving NED?
That's the Carter.
We'll leave Carter out of it. Out of the rest. NED. Out of the list of NEDs, who seems to be the longest serving? Have you got anyone there before 2010? 2011? So a question that is left unanswered is, before 2011, what was the state? Remember, we got ourselves listed in 2008. We formed in 2006, listed in 2008. So 2008 to 2010, how we operated, what was our mix in terms of the board? We don't know. Is it that the rotation has happened in 2011 where we've got an appointed new set of NEDs? Or did we not have a set of NEDs before that? We don't know. Possible. Not a rotation as such, but they appointed a new NED in 2014. In fact, there's 11, 12, 14. How long is their term? Of course, the recommendation is there to say that it shouldn't be too lengthy. Okay? About 3 years or so. Where you get re-elected after that. But it shouldn't be too lengthy. But what are their terms like? That then brings us to automatically our nominations committee and things like that. So let's look at them individually fairly quickly. Board members are usually required to have a fixed term of office, and for there to be shareholder vote at the end of this term. And you'll notice board members also after 3 years. Executive board members have all served at least 3 years. CEO and marketing director have been on the board since the company was formed in 2006, so they've been around for a long time. And when you take the CEO, how old is he? 62. No. He's above 70. He's above 70, but has extensive interest in soccer, has played soccer. Yeah? So knows a thing or two about running a club.
He's got all experience as player, as
manager, and the whole works. But the moment you hear the age, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Retirement, successor planning. See, we've gone through a huge slump. We've gone through 100 to 20, and now we've gone back to 40. Have we got someone in line to replace him when he retires? Throws the ball back to HR. Have we got successor planning in place? Right? Is a question mark. And this is a very real risk, okay? It's a very real risk. He's been around for a long time in terms of the game and all of that. He's been with us for 9 years. And we need to have planned this. Yeah.
So
that also might bring in that particular point to say maybe it's time for him to go. True. But have we got someone to replace him? Think about it. In terms of our unseen material, if we have a scenario where he quits or he's just said 3 months, I'm leaving, how significant is it to us?
it depends on how do you interpret. One could be if you really believe Tata is really running the show. He's a puppet who is there to support Tata. Then it may not have significance there. But if he's the real one having significant value and this could have a bit of spirit growth, then there is an issue.
See, at least on the surface, there is an issue. Because on the surface, he's supposed to be the one running the company. So we have an issue there. what it will do to share price, what it will do to the company, the club, given that he's someone with such a lot of experience, who's played, has held so many different positions, knows a thing or two about it. It can have an impact on us. But like you said, the upside of it is maybe we might get someone who can really turn things around, because whether we like it or not, yes, last 3 months or so we've done a little okay, but we've dropped from 100 to 40 end of the day. Overall, it is a drop. So maybe we need fresh blood. Okay, and maybe it's a person who can drive the company independent of Carter, whoever comes in. Like you said, maybe all this time he's just allowed Carter to make all the suggestions and basically signed off on it to say, here you go, let's do it.
Looking at the structure, the management of the Victor Range is kind of the person who's in the pipeline. Also, he has experience from being manager European club of Dubai. So he got quite experience from managing big football clubs. So he's a kind of a pipeline plan from HR perspective, because he has appointed of 2013. So he's been with the Glory for the last few years. So from HR perspective, there is a kind of a pipeline is there.
But again, all depends on what extent he's been handling things. Because again, if you look at it, has he got the same level of expertise that Martin Morris had? Because if you look at Martin, Martin retired from team man. I'm looking at the last bit. Team management, age of 62, member of Seaboard's board for 1 year before being appointed to the present position as Glory's Chief Executive Officer. Okay, you take Victor, manager of one of the clubs, and he's just been made director soccer.
And he's a board member for last 2 years.
He's a board member for last 2 years. Martin, we are not too sure what role he played in the other organization, Seaboard. We're not sure of what role he played. But Victor, would he be able to handle the overall scenario? He's good at soccer, but whether he's actually able to handle the overall scenario, we'll have to wait and see. You never know. Might work, might not. Right? But yeah, I guess the closest person could be there as a replacement might be Victor. True enough. He has. That poses another problem to us if we get rid of this guy, nomination remunerations committee, and we have to replace him with someone else as well, and already we have issues with not enough non-executive directors. But yeah, one thing that we could look at, I'm not saying that you're going to be asked to suggest whom a replacement would be. That is not something that you, at your role that you're given at the exam, will be allowed to suggest. But when you talk about risks, when you talk about maybe even possible weaknesses that we have, one is a CEO who is probably nearing the end of his term. Okay? Some of you might even view it as an opportunity. Good, it's time. Time for a change. Maybe we'll have a fresh look at things. Okay? Yeah, sometimes we get too comfortable with whoever is there that we don't start looking at things newly, and we just keep doing what we do all the time. In this industry, yes. In this industry, preferably, yes. Sometimes, it doesn't have to have played. I'm not saying it should have played, but some type of a management role with regard to football, because dumping someone in from something like retail into football might not be ideal, because they don't know the industry, right? And it has to be someone who has a very clear passion for the sport. Otherwise, it will not work. You don't understand the mindset of players. You don't understand how things should work within the club. It will be a disaster. So it has to be someone who has had some background into soccer. I'm not saying they should have played, but some type of background into soccer. You can't get someone out of banking or retail or something like that and dump them here. They might be very good, but they'll take a long time to get used to the scenario. Okay, and that's time that we can't afford to be spending. Last line there, first paragraph, NEDs may need to be changed more often, or perhaps these were the first NEDs to join the Glory board, because nothing is mentioned before 2011. Experience, all executive board members have proven academic and operational experience, though not all in the sports industry, especially if you look at Manjiri. Finance has nothing to do with sports, but that's okay, it's qualified. Okay, it's qualified. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So it's a mix. Some of them have sports-related experience. Some of them actually have the qualifications and the good background to them. Not all NEDs have relevant or have experience in the relevant industry. However, experience in banking, HR, etc., may still provide diverse perspectives which are useful to the whole board. So, choice of NEDs are relatively okay. Here comes a few problems. NED independence. Chairman Dr. Carter, founded the team, claims that the club's first and most dedicated supporter, majority shareholder, spends most of his week in the club. Dr. Carter remains as chairman also of the Glorious Energy Group. Salome joined Glory after being HR director at Glorious Energy Group, therefore has a link to the chairman. In addition, the executive marketing director, Sate, also came from Glorious Energy Group and will have a connection to the chairman. This is why I keep repeating this thing on sponsorship, because all these sponsorships and so on will go through the marketing director. Okay, and that is something I feel could be just touched upon to bring in a bit of an issue for you. So there's an ethical perspective to it. You can bring in a corporate governance point of view to it. So you're touching on quite a few of the subjects, right?
Are you saying that's necessary to continue the governance? They say there should be cross company transfer.
Yeah.
So that values that particular clause very clearly.
Yeah. Oh, so basically you get a chance to, all those integration marks can automatically be earned. You don't have to spend time separately on it. Yeah. Dr. Carter has stated that he would like Glory to be managed properly. And one of the first things he needs to do is step back then. This may mean that he encouraged the best people that he knew from his other company, Glorious Energy Group, to join Glory. However, it threatens independent action and thought from these individuals because they are likely to simply follow what Carter mentions. So, okay. In addition, Bhaskar was appointed in 2014, heavily involved in Glory's soccer club supporters. Is he independent? Which way do you think his views will be more biased towards? Towards anything to do with the fans. Every time you might bring in a proposal, let's say, increase ticket prices or something like that, he would be one of the first to oppose it because he'd think of it only from the fans' point of view. Because pretty much of the role that he plays there. Given the background and interests of certain members of the non-exec and exec board, the independent check on the board's activities may be limited. You are not going to see a very direct question to say, have we violated the corporate governance guidelines and things like that? There will be one part of an overall question. Okay, so it's something that you could probably write or type out a page on. But there will be more to it. So lots of other issues would be brought in. Okay. Plus, remember that a question doesn't have to be completely from F3 or completely from E3. One question can test both E3 and F3. Could be a combination. Less likely it will be all three subjects, but two subjects, yeah, possible. As you will see with questions today. Committees. Glory has 3 committees: audit, remuneration, nominations. As suggested, is the best practice. NEDs make up the committee members other than the chairman. The current NEDs did not begin to be appointed until 2011. There may have been NEDs before them. We do not have this information. However, if there was not, the following committees may not have existed before that date. So that's information that is limited. Audit committee. Who are the members? We've got Carter and Rachana. And Rachana has the background to serve there, seems okay. Doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. Yep, Chairman, Carter and Rachana. Remunerations Committee. Again, we've got Carter there. We've got Saloni and we've got Rachana. Oops. Yeah, as well as Antonio. I've missed out on one, is it? Yes. You need to include Rachana there as well. Because remunerations, Rachana is part of it. So sorry about that. You can. Remunerations Committee, Carter, Saloni, Antonio, and Rachana. So it's 4. Yeah. Which is not enough. Which is not enough. Remunerations we have extra. Yeah. Nominations again, there's a small change there that needs to be made. Nominations, as far as Saloni is concerned, that is fine. But Rachana is not part of the nominations committee. Rachana is part of the remunerations committee. Please get rid of Rachana from the nominations committees. Effectively, Antonio and Saloni, just 2. It's just 2, which is not enough. And what's worse, think of Saloni. Independent? No. Handpicked by the chairman. Handpicked by the chairman from Glorious Energy Group, which makes this a horrible composition when it comes to the nominations committee. It's a very important committee. Okay. And that is mentioned specifically here. Saloni's independence may be questioned. And then the role is to oversee the process for board appointments, make recommendations to the board. The committee also reviews succession planning. With regard to board members, there's a small error in that paragraph. That's why I'm reading through that specifically. This may be important given the length of time, not Andrew Jones. Wrong name in terms of the CEO. CEO would be Martin Morris. Just make that Martin Morris. It's not Andrew Jones, it's Martin Morris. So successor planning falls into this committee, and the committee is not very good. This might to an extent show us that maybe Carter has already handpicked that replacement. If we are not planning for a replacement. Maybe Carter has already got someone in mind. Maybe it's from Glorious Energy Group. You never know. Or maybe Carter has someone in mind from outside. Okay? Right. Here's what we do. There's one last page there which I left undone yesterday. It is on page 21, corporate social responsibility.
Before that, I have a question.
Yeah.
That is this board structure, what we are seeing.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that development committee is not an app.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if in the examination hall, if I see the first question,
Yeah.
that Carter is going to resign.
Okay.
And what is the subsequent plan?
Carter is going to resign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Subsequent plan, the examiner is asking me to propose. What I do?
He's going to resign, and then we need a successor plan. Isn't it too late?
I mean, maybe you can send the word resign. I mean, we heard that he is planning to withdraw himself.
If Carter is withdrawing himself, the problem is not be as grave in terms of the structure as the CEO resigning. Because Carter's role in this is supposed to be quite limited, although he's playing a very active role in this. Right? Because he's supposed to be in charge of which part of it? Running the company or looking at the board? Looking at the board. Right? So actually Carter stepping back and playing a bit of a backseat role can help us. Because at the moment it seems more like he's running the show. That's the feeling that we get. Okay? Maybe we might see that at the India Unseen, maybe we might not. But you are more likely to have a scenario of the CEO resigning than Carter stepping back, because then you don't have too much of an issue. Then the issue is not as grave.
I mean, that is the traditional mindset. If something goes beyond the box, say like 65% shareholders is outside. Okay, so there maybe there is a procession in the road, in the AGM, in the press club. The Carter is really too much interfering.
Okay.
Although he is the chairman of the board. So, I mean, there is a proposal to face the face. So
you're talking about him resigning or him being asked to resign?
I mean, something like this, asked to resign. Then,
see, that is where that other NED should have been in place. So, see, if Carter's involvement is too high, he's trying to intimidate the rest of the shareholders or disregard their interests, then it is a clear situation where we need to have another NED who takes charge, right? Because technically the chairman should not be intimidating the rest of the shareholders, right? So that type of a suggestion you can make, but whether we can make a suggestion to say Carter should resign, not really, because we are not at that level to make that type of suggestion. What we could say very passively is that yes, there is a bit of a conflict. Here's the solution to it, right? So we're not asking him to resign, but here's the fix to it. Okay? Because end of the day, what that will contribute to your people skills, because whatever said and done, we might end up reporting to one of Carter's favorites, and we'll lose our job. But at the same time, we need to do the right thing. We can't say, oh, there's no problem, let's disregard it. So we're giving them a solution, okay, which is another NED taking charge to solve the problem, right? Going by past trends, and based on what the examiner has mentioned, that we'll stick to the past trends, you shouldn't see that type of an issue.
If you take the go for the loop exam, variant 1, this kind of reflection, that kind of question is there. There is a 3%. I mean, they really, controlling the whole thing. The press, okay, we give someone is need to face the press, and they requested you to what kind of question comes from those who are in the press, and what should be the proposed solution of that problem. So similarly, if this thing happens, so what could be our stand?
if by chance there's a conflict with shareholders and whatnot, then you make a very simple suggestion, another NED text charge, so that this issue is sorted. And in terms of corporate governance guidelines as well, we are complying with it even more. Right? So that will be the solution. Yeah, it says in the board. That's okay. That's not a problem. Okay.
Again, I have a question regarding the CEO's matter. As far as this is concerned, the current 70, and if there is a issue raised in shall we go into the nomination committee, or we suggest some name from the board?
What you can very simply mention is this is the role of the nominations committee. Okay, the plan should have already been in place. If not, the suggestion is that immediately such a plan is implemented, at least for future purposes, right? But to solve the problem now, because we've not had, if they say that we've not had successor planning, then these are the options available. One option might be, yes, look at someone who is internal and someone who has a background in soccer and all that. It might be Victor. Okay, or we get someone from outside, which will give a fresh perspective. Yes, it has to go through that end of the day. But these are suggestions. Getting someone from outside, the pros and cons. You know, you can get them from a rival club that will give you different perspective, all of that. So, yeah, all you're doing is the topic that is being discussed effectively is promoting someone internally or getting an external person. E3. Yeah, but like what you said, the suggestion should be it goes through the nominations committee, and you mentioned specifically this should have been there. If it is not there, we recommend very strongly that this is immediately put in place, at least for future purposes. But here's how we solve the current problem. Okay, right. We do a mock exam. It's not 3 hours. It's just to get you started, get used to the system. And this is also to an extent a little technical because I want to recap. The second question, I'll tell you what it is on. It's on risk. And it's on these committees and things like that. And it's on risk managers, right?
I have a question about risk management.
Yeah.
If we see the there are a lot of risk involved with chlorine. Okay. But naturally, there should be a committee from the board to look after the risk management issues.
A risk management.
Risk management, audit committee can take care of the risk management issues. But audit committee ought to say there is no professionally literate person.
Have you read my mock exam? You're asking me the question from the mock exam. So we'll take care of it through that. You'll see that question there. But what I'll tell you is, yes, you can have a separate risk management committee. You can have a risk committee. The role is different from the audit committee, and corporate governance guidelines don't specify you have to have a risk committee. It's not a must, but it's good practice. It's good practice. Role of the risk committee, I'll let you mention. We'll discuss it after that. On the system, I want you to give mock exam. Shall we do this? Shall we make it 10:10? So let's make it about an hour. Right? I want you to answer question number 1 completely. Okay? Question number 1 completely. So we'll make it 1 hour and 15 minutes. Right? Question number 2, just the points, because that is a very technical question. I brought it in to recap the risk part of it and audit committees and all of that. Question number 3, also try to do it in as much detail as you can. Right? Question number 1, if you're looking at what area it is from, you will be able to identify it fairly straightforward enough, but it's more of an E3 sort of a question. 2 is from P3 and 3 is from F3. Right? Mock exam 2 on the system. Right? Just to get ourselves used to this, do it as fast as you can. But first one, take your time. You'll take time to get used to it as well. The reference material, blah blah blah. Other two, try and do them as fast as you can. Take the least amount of time for question 2 because I'm just looking at a rough outline. It's just to recap that. You will never get that type of a technical question. So 1 and 3 are relatively exam standard. 2 is more technical question meant to recap knowledge. Okay? After this, we look at proper 100-mark mocks. Mock 2. Completely. So without knowledge of the priest, you'll be in big trouble. So that's 20 pages where you have to know everything that is in there. For example, this is on a football club. It's in a league that started in 2004. Club was formed in 2006. We got listed in 2008. Our equity beta is something like 1.7. Share price dropped from about 100 cents to 40 cents. Gearing is 14%. CEO is Mr. Morris. So all those details individually you need to know because exam day you'll be given some scenarios and they'll mention names of people. They'll mention certain things that have changed, and you need to be able to answer based on your knowledge of the precinct.
Is it a case study? I believe.
Yeah.
Is it a case study?
Yes.
Okay.
Case study.
Then I have to read the. Then I have to read the whole case of the FESI, whatever.
Yes, you need to. You need to read the whole case. Can you also go through the online discussion we've had yesterday? They've uploaded the whole thing on the website. So you need to run through that as well. That will give you some help. And there is some material that I've uploaded as well, presentations and things like that. That will help you as well. But that is something you need to urgently do.
Okay, understand.
Yeah. Then you'll find out there will be
I was of the understanding that today just there will be a presentation or online class, but there was some materials circulated earlier which I didn't get actually.
Okay. In fact, most of the discussion was done yesterday. Today is going to be discussion questions.
Today I am participating for the first time.
Pardon?
For the first time I am participating today.
Yeah. I know. So it would be a good idea while you wait to see whether you can download all those things that were given yesterday and take a look at it.
Okay.
So while so that will help. So I'll be carrying on with what we are doing today, but just take a look at that as well. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay, great.
And today, how long will it take? Today, are you going to finish it now, or will continue for?
With these guys, because it's going to be discussion of questions, I'll probably be going on till 6 p.m.
Okay.
So it'll be different questions. They'll be attempting it. I'll be giving them time to attempt it and all of that. And we'll go on till about 6 p.m. But I think meanwhile you might as well use the time more productively with going through what we've done yesterday, and whatever questions that are relevant, get those across to you as well. And the recorded version again will give you the discussion. So first step, go through what we've done yesterday.
Okay. Just to have a basic idea.
Sorry, hold
will
on.
there be only one study or a few?
No, I couldn't hear you. The whole connection is breaking up. I wasn't able to hear you. The connection was breaking.
I was saying that in the exam, how many phases like this will be there? Will there be one only, or there will be more?
How many?
These sort of case studies.
Yeah. See, you will have to answer 3 questions in 3 hours. So it's 1 hour per question.
Okay. Okay. And for each question are of same pattern, I mean, Tracy type or?
Each question will be about 1 hour.
Yeah, I understand. There will be 3 questions and each for 1 hour,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what will be the pattern of the question? There will be a case study, and based on that, you have to answer, right?
No, the case study is already given to you. It's 29 pages. It's already available. So
Yeah.
based on that, they will add on some more information on the exam day, and you will be tested based on that.
Okay. And all 3 questions will be related to that case study?
All the questions, everything will be based on the case study that is given.
So there will be 3 case studies for 3 questions or 1 case study?
No. Now the case study is on the football club, and all 3 questions will be on that football club.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, now I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So that's why the pre-seed is very important. It is very, very dependent on that.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Great.
Thanks.
Okay. All of you managed to get through question 1? Yeah. I think question 2, we'll keep it brief. I know some of you moved on to question 2. We'll keep it brief. Don't worry, you'll have enough mock exams to practice. You'll see there are 7 of them. So can we discuss question 1? See how you fare, whereabout you are. And after we've done that, I'll even float the answer once we've done the whole thing. Yeah, so that you have something to go by.
Right now, we can stop writing for second one.
Yeah, just stop. It's okay. Don't hit next, whatever. Just stop, and we'll get back to it a little later on. That's okay.
But at the end, you will have a model answer for.
I'll give you a model answer for the whole thing. For all 3, I'll give you a model answer.
So just sign out.
Don't sign out. Just let it be. Leave it open. Leave it open.
It's open.
It's open. Just leave it open. So once I finish, I'll just take 10-15 minutes. Maybe after that you can get back to it. Okay. Right. So our first question is effectively on Novak. Yeah. Signing up Philip Novak would clearly be a statement of intent as to whether Glory sees itself as a football club, but we would need to make the numbers work. Okay, so this is what we've got. First things first, the requirements you'll notice are hidden. So is the question. The requirements are effectively hidden. I'm just going to quickly run through this. Yeah.
If you view these things like this,
Yeah.
the other student in the Chittagong can't see this.
Okay.
This is inconsistent.
This won't help in any case. Yeah, fine. So says signing Philip Novak would clearly be a statement of intent where Glory sees itself as a football club, but we would need to make the numbers work. One means of financing the cost of both transfer fee and wages that has been put forward is to increase ticket prices of home games. Could you briefly evaluate proposals by considering its advantages and disadvantages? This proposal, advantage. So the question is advantages, disadvantages of ticket prices being increased?
Not really.
Yeah?
Not
Yeah, so that's one requirement, okay? It is well known that Novak has been an excellent player in the past, also notorious, as well as thinking about his cost, the impact on tickets. We should consider the wider implications of signing him. His behavior off the pitch and in bars and clubs makes sensational stories in the world press, and not for good reasons. Novak is a high profile, skillful player. He's a brand by himself. His modeling contracts, but his larger than life character has got him into trouble. Does Glory want to be associated with his antics? Can you write a short paper that covers what we need to consider if we are signing Novak? The decision is not yet finalized. I want to be sure we looked at this issue. Discuss risks and rewards. I know that many members of the board are very keen already. Okay. What controls can we put in place to mitigate the risks Novak may bring during his 3-year contract? Finally, one last thing I'd like you to do. I'm meeting with a friend of mine who happens to be a shareholder. Discuss how we might determine the price when buying new players. He feels that all too often it looks as though we are just we think of a number, and suggested that we apply recognized business valuation techniques to the process. Could you put together some briefing notes for me regarding this, particularly for their suitability? Could you also explain why we show the player registrations as an asset rather than an expense? There are 3 requirements here. 1, advantages, disadvantages of increasing ticket prices. 2, what are the other factors we need to consider with Novak? What are the risks? How do we mitigate? 3, how do we value the players? Can we use business valuation techniques? If you spend more time on any one of these requirements, and my guess is you would have spent more time on 1 and 2, you still only answered 66% of what was required. Ticket prices increasing, advantages, disadvantages. Yeah, it's a way of financing Novak. It is one of the approaches. In addition to us having a certain cash reserve, this is one way we can use to fund it. And what Novak will do is definitely bring in a lot of publicity, right? So maybe fans will be willing to pay the high price to see Novak.
in our case, very high.
We need to talk about both advantage and disadvantage. So one advantage is, yes, this is a method of funding. It forms a permanent increase. Price, generally tickets will be price inelastic. Have a marginal increase because the loyalty they'll buy anyway. And you don't have to reduce the price after that, you can keep it at a high level. But at the same time, like you said, there are disadvantages. If you price it too high, people won't buy in. You increase the price. What if he does not perform as you expect? Fans will be disappointed for 2 reasons. They pay the high price and your team is not performing. You will get money from Novak coming in for other reasons. Why? He's got such a lot of publicity behind him. Broadcasting revenue will go up. Sponsorship revenue can go up. Why do you need to charge higher prices from fans? who are also shareholders, who can go against it. So I'm talking about advantage, I'm talking about disadvantages, both. Okay. Yeah, so it might be a bit dangerous to increase prices too much. Yeah. Now we are moving on to the second requirement. What other factors? Now, ticket prices, we have to be specific with ticket prices. Now, other factors, yeah, then I start talking about, yep, his age is more towards the decline end. He's above 30, so he's not going to be as agile, performing as well as he was when he was in his 20s. But yeah.
I've got one is
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't take it up to the if I want to pass,
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. Focus on at least other areas of the campus.
Fair enough. So, other factors, there's a big list. That's what I was saying. Like, because bigger problem is fans are the shareholders. So you are talking about you're getting money from sponsorship. You're going to get money from more publicity, all of these different things. Why do you have to increase the prices as well? Because we are not asking for profit. 65% are shareholders, and they say we are not asking for profit. How are you doing? So that issue is there. Other factors, you have a lot of other factors. Other factors. Positives and negatives. Even with other factors, positives and negatives. Our existing captain, Brian Hall, he might not like it because this guy is also probably a striker, and right? On the positive end of things, yeah, it is a good signing. If the market believes it's a good move, share price can go up. He might even be able to guide some of our youngsters. Is there a way I can mute this? Can you put this thing on mute, please? Fantastic. Maybe he can guide our youngsters. Remember, we have a reserve team and things like that. Might play that role. But again, we will talk about the positives and come to the negatives. Positives, all our revenues can go up. Merchandise, you put his name on it, number on it, people might buy. More people might turn up to watch him, just like what happened with Cristiano Ronaldo when Real Madrid bought him. It can increase utilization or whatever in terms of the stadiums. Effectively, all our different sources of revenue can improve, right? Most sponsors might approach us, just like he gets 5 million for the jeans. If someone sponsors us, automatically they get access to him, because the salary we pay him means that he has to. We should be able to use his name and him for whatever sponsorships and things like that. But there are a lot of downsides. His attitude. his whole what should I say, the background that he comes with. He is known for his antics off the field, which is not something which we believe in. If you look at our CSR, we talk about our players being responsible, them being good corporate citizens. Is this what we want? Aren't we completely changing the culture of the organization to a different direction then? Could he spoil our youngsters? Yeah, second one. Already the other points I mentioned was the second one. First one was just ticket prices. I wouldn't go beyond that. Because if I overdo it, then I have nothing to write in the second one. So, what if he spoils our youngsters? He ruins the existing culture, right? He's not as agile as he would have been earlier. Looking for a more relaxed environment here. That's what it says. He might be more interested in promoting his own brands, his sponsors, rather than playing football. There is a big risk of injury at this age. Right? So, some of the issues, it's not all the issues, these are just some of the issues of getting Philip Novak in. It's likely to be quite an expensive signing as well. It's a big question mark whether we really need him at the moment or whether we have a settled team. Nothing is mentioned in this material as to whether we are winning or losing. So think about it. If we have a winning combination going on, right, and we have enough reserve players, do we have to buy him? Are we just buying him because it's the trend in the market? Are we buying him because we want to sign up a big name?
There is an indication in the receipt that the current state of the league, like Volin and
it's either us or Volin.
Quite poised to reach the title.
Yeah.
So basically, that gives a clear indication that we have crossed in terms of 36 match. So
Yeah.
Majority of matches has already been done. So we have crossed quite a distance.
But
so, and there is a winning combination is there. So that's why
the expectation is it will be volume or glory, but nothing hard and fast there about it. So they just say that's the expectation, right? So nothing is mentioned as to whether we are on a current last 2-3 matches can influence it. It could. So we don't know how things are going. If things are going really well, for example, if they are really going well, do we need someone else to come in and sit on the bench? So you pay such a lot of money and sit on the bench, or because you paid such a lot of money, you want to bring him into the team and upset the combination. So there's a lot of things you need to consider. It's time management. Whether you'll be able to put down all of this in about 40 minutes or so is a question mark, because there's one more part. And the last part is actually on F3. Business valuation techniques. There are 4 business valuation techniques: net asset based, dividend based valuation, earnings based, and cash flow based. Okay? Dividend based is not relevant. He's a player. Okay? Net asset based, we can't use again. Why? Because we are not about to value his worth as an individual. We are trying to value his worth as a player. So how do we use the net asset based approach for that? Sorry, not suitable. Earnings based. Yes, we have PEs of companies. PE for a player?
It can be used remotely.
Yeah, you might be able to use a PE of a company, make some adjustments, but how accurate is it? Is it relevant to a player? Not really. Cash flow based. That, if anything, is the closest we can get. How much cash flows he'll bring into glory, you discount it over a period of time and manage to find out the value. But how much that individual brings in, can we accurately predict? Not really. There are flaws. But although you can't use things like dividend valuation, you need to mention we can't use it because of this reason. Right?
So this only give you time. If you want to focus on the main one.
But we have to mention at this and this can't be used for this reason, at least briefly, because the question says all the different company valuation methods. So that's why I said yesterday, your biggest enemy is time. You start off thinking, I don't know whether I'm going to have enough to write, or you'll have enough to write. And still not done. Still no. Because there's more to it.
in the previous two case studies, we have seen some things like in upper paragraph, the question is 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. But in case of this mark, question is overall paragraph wise question. It makes us very difficult to find out the question.
That is what. That is the objective. That is the objective of looking at this. How many of you took me seriously yesterday when I said, when you are reading this, write the question down on the side? No one did it. Realize why I said it now? Even if you want to go back and look at the question, you'll end up reading the whole paragraph again. So every time you come across a requirement, write it on a sheet of paper. You'll be given a sheet of paper at the exam. Write it. Okay, I'll just stop. Okay. They will give you at the exam. They will give you a piece of paper. They will give you sheets of paper. Yeah. Yeah. Use that. Use that. Little issues, but write the requirement. See, now this one has 3 separate parts. So your timing is effectively about, as I keep saying, 16 to 17 minutes per requirement. Because you would have easily taken about 10 minutes to read the scenario. Okay? And you need to move on. Now, some of those other points, you might have just put them as points. If you keep seeing that, yes, I need to move on after 16 minutes, I need to move on after 16 minutes, you will answer the whole question. And when you're running short of time, at least you would have brought in the points. Whereas, if you are just going to remember the question and keep going back reading it, number one, you're wasting time there. Number two, you would have forgotten some of the requirements.
Just one question, right? As you rightly predicted, out of these 4 requirements, first 2 requirements requires getting into the brain. The last 2 requirements are relatively simple and easy to answer. You get total 45 minutes. In the first 2 one. The last one you easily do within 10 to 15 minutes. Is that okay? Or you have
That's okay.
Or the examiner looks at it, you have to put proportionate timing of the code.
So ideally what they would look at is to use proportionate timing, but sometimes the data requirements might be quite straightforward and quite focused. Then it's okay.
I think forcefully bring other issues, simplicity and everything that I talk about.
But within the time. Within the time. That's the thing. So this is one. Yeah.
Whether it should be treated as a asset or
It is. And there's proof of it. If you look at our statements, that's where we relate it to say last year we bought 22 million worth of players and we treated them as an intangible asset and we amortize. Yeah. Why we do that is because definition of asset, resource controlled by an entity which gives rise to future economic benefits.
Can we refer the IS number, name of the IS?
IAS 38, intangible assets.
You can also
Use IS.
13, no, IF 16 is tangible. It's property, plant and equipment. So this is IAS 38.
But again, here, he doesn't say that I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
I want to use all these jargon.
So if you want, you can say there's an accounting standard that deals with this area, which specifies that if you get benefits from a resource over a long period of time, then we are able to classify them as an asset. And with the players, yes, we are able to earn sponsorship incomes, we are able to earn ticket incomes, merchandise incomes, all of this based on them. And when we pay them, get them on contract, we have the rights to all of this, which gives us that future benefit. Therefore, we treat them as an asset. The purchase price is shown, and what we do is, over their contract period, we charge the cost, or we charge that value split as an expense. So rather than using words like amortization or all that, or within brackets you can mention amortization. So that's the meaning. Okay. So that, you get marks for people skills for that.
And company retain the policy where the assets will be taken out. And if you perceive that an asset will be created from that circumstances or from that certain ground, then it will be an asset. Like here, for 3 years that there is signed, and it will generate revenues and revenues from other aspects like merchandising, etc. So, if the company policies like that, it will.
It's not a policy. It's not a policy. You have to treat them as an asset. You can't expense it because you are going to get future benefits. In fact, it's an asset that is even transferable, isn't it? You can transfer and make money out of them. You can sell the asset. You can sell their construct and get money out of it.
It has to be the capability to bring the cash inflows to the organization. Number one. Number two, it has to be measurable position.
Yeah.
And number three, management intention is required also for recognition of cash flow. That is told about the management intention. That's why it's so kind of
Management intention?
Yeah. Management intention also
For IAS 38, no, management intention isn't there. Economic benefits, future economic benefits, yes. Okay. Reliable estimate of the value is there. Management intention is not. That is there for research and development.
If it is a research part,
Yeah. No. For development, the management intention is looked at, but not for this sort of thing.
the intention will not work if it is not working to make economic benefit to the organization. Management intention will work when it has the capabilities, the assets has the capabilities to bring economic benefit to the organization.
Management intention will work if because I teach even P2 for ACCA and I'm not looked at management intention. That's why I'm wondering.
But anyway, I think it's not so relevant.
No, anyways, it's not relevant to the question. We don't need to mention it here. It's too technical. No, let's look at it anyways. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break, not too long. Tea, back. Move on to question 3 directly. Question 2, I'll discuss with you. Whatever you typed, it's okay. Hit next, move on. Whatever you've typed so far, I will give that back to you because I can access it from the system to mark it and I can email that back to you.
See, you do all these.
So what I plan on doing is we will do that other 1.5 hour exercise, which is just points quickly, and we'll do one more detailed mock today. Okay. The other mock exams, try it over the next few days. I will mark it from there, give you the feedback, right? But before we end today, let's set deadlines to say this date I need mock 4 done, mock 5 done, because then by the time you're done with mock 4, I'll upload the answers as well.
Just one more question I have on this.
Yeah.
Which are the models to be used when answering this? I thought of two sort an SFA.
SAF, yes.
You are
What
currently the
might
only
be
person
overdoing?
in this conference.
Because opportunities, threats, overdoing. SAF, yeah, possible.
Anything else?
In terms of, no, I'd stick to that. SAF in terms of its recruitment, yeah, that's good. It's an investment. Fine. So we break for 10 minutes. They asked me to break at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock and it's 12 now, so.
Right.
precinct. Okay, one thing. But you were looking at the precinct. But I think it stopped going service out. Okay. You were looking at from the system. And getting additions. Okay. So my every question because you have the agreement contract with that you have more than 1 year. Okay. So you can control at least 1 year.
আমি তো দিছি আমি স্টাফ কি শেয়ারিং আছে আর ক্যান্সেল আছে
You should still have your full hour for this one. Please have a piece of paper next to you. Write down the requirement when you come across it, or else you're going to face the same issue that we faced with the previous one. Just keep next. That's okay. Next. At the bottom. At the bottom, you'll be able to go next. What their problem is.
You are currently the only person in this conference.